Hello everyone and welcome back to another round of Tuesday Night Legacy, where we showcase Magic's most powerful formats. My name is Eugene and I'll be your commentator for this, the third round from our Pauper tournament on May 13th. It's been a little while, but we're trying to catch up. On the left we have Dolly playing a Jund Gardens list. This is all about using this guy, Glimmer Baron, to get as much value about all of the tokens that this deck can generate, either from Sprout Swarm or Kudotha Rebirth or even Experimental Synthesizer. So it generates a ton of tokens. You're able to either sacrifice it to the Glimmer Baron, getting it +2/+2 for each of those tokens sacrificed and just killing in one huge attack, or you can use the makeshift munitions over time. This deck also has the Ichor Wellspring Deadly Dispute combo, being able to generate a lot of advantage that way. And it also has the Thorn of the Black Rose. Because there's so many creature tokens in play, it is pretty easy to maintain Monarch. Then on the left, we have Lord Muxus playing his Blue-Black Fish deck here. This is all about having big creatures that can finish the game fairly quickly with the Gurmag Angler and the Striped River Winder. Then it also has a few advantage creatures, Muldrifter and Augur of Bolas, and this is mostly a control deck at heart with removal spells like Cast Down, Snuff Out, and counter spells with Counterspell and Dispel. Can also put things in the graveyard with the Modern Age, being able to discard cards, and actually runs a full playset of Exhume. And then for longevity's sake, it actually runs a couple of these Unexpected Fangs to be able to give lifelink and make your Striped River Winder a 6/6 with lifelink and hexproof. It also has cycling, so you can get into the graveyard pretty easy and be able to buy it back with that Exhume pretty early in the game. So this is Go Wide versus Value Town. Let's see who gets there. We have Dolly starting off the play here with a Colony Garden, getting himself a 0/1 plant token. Mux is still shuffling it up here. I guess I started the video a little bit early. Here's the Colony Garden for you. Getting another token into play basically for free is always good for Dolly. Want to have as many tokens as possible for the cycling buyback, or not the cycling, but the buyback of the Sprout Swarm here. Since it does have Convoke, having as many creatures in play as possible, you can just tap them all, buy back the Sprout Swarm, maybe even do it again. We see a Preordain from Muxus. Just getting a little bit of card selection on top of the deck here. We're seeing that Sprout Swarm being cast. On turn 2, it is going to go to the grave without the buyback, so just one Saproling into play. We see Muxus on his turn 2 here, deploying the Modern Age. This is a pretty good card. Get to loot twice before it just transforms into a 2/3 flyer. So paying 2 mana, eventually getting a 2/3 flyer that'll be able to beat in there, and also be able to discard that River Winder, which we actually saw Muxus discard here. If he can exhume this guy into play, that's going to be a quick game. 5/5 with hexproof. There's the there's the Exhume. He actually discarded another Exhume off of the Modern Age. So we're going to see this 2/3 flyer transforming next turn, and we have this 5/5 hexproof guy just sitting on the board here. A little difficult to get in since Dolly currently has 2 plants. Now he has 3 goblins and a Saproling. Casting that Kudotha Rebirth. Sacrificing the Ichor Wellspring to generate more advantage. He should have 2 plants at this point. Sitting on his turn, decides not to attack into a 5/5. Looks like he's casting the Deadly Dispute. Sacrifice one of his 0/1 plants to be able to draw another card and generate another treasure. Draw 2 cards. There's the treasure. Now this could have been done at instant speed, but Dolly has decided he wants to do it on his turn. Oh, to use the treasure and the extra land that he had to deploy another Ichor Wellspring. Alright, so that Modern Age transforms after the 3rd Saga trigger. Or the 3rd lore counter, I guess. Muxus just passing it up, decides not to attack with either creature. Think he has missed a land drop. I am not entirely certain there. Maybe not. Maybe he just has a bunch of control spells in hand. Looks like he's got at least one cast down. We're seeing Dolly go crazy here with all of these, sacrificing the Ichor Wellspring. It looks like that was a Chromatic Star, a second Kuldolta Rebirth, getting 3 more goblins, drawing a bunch of cards, staying way ahead of the game. Wellspring really doing its job here. And then he throws down an Experimental Synthesizer, exiling the top card of his library. Able to generate another creature off of this. If Dolly has a Sprout Swarm in hand, he actually can cast it here, even though he's out of mana, as long as he has that green plant. We're seeing Muxus deploy the Fangs. The Unexpected Fangs, getting in there for 6 damage and gaining 6 life. Looks like Dolly is playing the Rites of Initiation. Discarding, he's got at least 5 cards in hand, it looks like. Oh, a counterspell was going to stop that Rites. And then casting the Makeshift Munitions here. So he has an outlet to be able to shoot down or slowly shoot Muxus out of the game. See a Gurmag Angler. Exiling the graveyard. Really good 5/5 for 1 mana here. Another attack. And the blocks were declared and the Makeshift Munitions activated, negating that 6 lifelink. See just a ton of artifacts. Another Chromatic Star, another Ichor Wellspring. Casting down the fish. Can't get rid of the 6/6 with hexproof, so have to just blanket each turn. That looks like a Deep Analysis. Oh, it's a 3 cast or a 1 cast. Is that a Preordain? The Preordain that Muxus sent me is this crazy Secret Lair one. Oh no, that must have been an Augur of Bolas. Yeah. Getting a card off the top here. Looked like he maybe got a counterspell. There's definitely a counterspell in his hand. So, getting rid of... What is this guy called when he flips? Getting rid of the Vector Glider. Muxus didn't really care about it. A slight pause there. Right back on schedule. I believe it is Dolly's turn. Still has his 6 goblins. Yeah, we're seeing the Thorn of the Black Rose deployed here. Getting... Oh, it's not going to get Monarch. That is worthy of a counterspell in Muxus' opinion. Makes sense to me. Muxus can't get in for any damage here because there's just so many blockers available. So not allowing Dolly to continue to generate advantage with that Monarch trigger every turn. We see a Deep Analysis deployed for Muxus. Going to draw 2 cards. Can cast this from the graveyard for 2 mana. You just have to pay 3 life. Slowly firing down at Muxus with the Makeshift Munitions. Dolly's got all of these artifacts and enchantments kind of stacked up on each other. They are still in play, but like right below his life total here. Yep. See him sacrificing the Experimental Synthesizer. Going to make the Samurai creature. Exiling another card, casting it. So 2 Chromatic Stars in play, basically 2 free draws. With Chromatic Star, when it's put in a graveyard. So he can actually use the Makeshift Munitions to shoot Muxus with these. Oh, here's the big play. So trying to go for the Rites of Initiation here. Discard any number of cards from your hand I am not sure. Oh, it was cycled. Just a cycle Riverwinder, so this is going to be huge damage coming across the field. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was way more than 23 damage. And Muxus is going to take lethal there, and we're going to game 2. Looks like a, not a Thoughtseize, but a Duress out of the sideboard here. Taking the Rites of Initiation. Muxus does not want to lose to this card again. Passing the turn. A Bojuka Bog. Doesn't really do anything. Cycling the Ash Barrens to get the color that he actually wants. Getting a Mountain. Probably going to deploy there. Looks like he's got an Experimental Synthesizer in his hand. Or maybe we're going to bounce. Yeah, we're going to bounce the Bojuka Bog. Probably a good idea to hold on to Bojuka Bog for as long as possible, since Muxus likes to be kind of a reanimator deck in a way. Can discard his big creatures, exhume them back into play here. So I think, I'm not 100% certain what happened there. I think there was an artifact in play, maybe a Chromatic Star, a called Zoltha Rebirth, and casting the Glimmer Baron as well. So Glimmer Baron in play, Chromatic Star, Rebirth gets the 3 goblins. Already presenting 7 damage here, if Muxus doesn't put anything into play. It's going to be a cast down for the Baron. A sad time. Seeing a Chainer's Edict in Dolly's hand, being able to get around the hexproof as long as it's the only creature in play, sacrificing it. Deploying a Spider Silk Armor. Going to give a little bit more of a butt to all of his creatures, +0/+1, and now they all have reach as well. Makes one of those board wipes, like deal or give -1/-1 suffocating fumes. Not nearly as good on Muxus' side. Turns a board wipe into nothing. So we're going to see a Augur of Bolas deployed here. And pass it back. Dolly getting an Experimental Synthesizer. Not 100% certain about the... Okay, I see. So the cards on the far left are the cards that Muxus knows about. Revealed the Rakdos Carnarium off the top and then played it as land for turn, bouncing the mountain back to hand. We're seeing a bought back Sprout Swarm, getting a green Saproling creature token into play. Muxus says, yeah, sure. No responses to that. I'm not sure if those 3 cards are the only cards in Dolly's hand, but I don't see the Sprout Swarm there, so I'm not entirely certain. Oh, there's the cards. A Modern Age deployed for Muxus, getting rid of one of those suffocating fumes. That's a bit of a bummer. He had the card that could deal with the board state, but, you know, Spider Silk Armor too good sometimes. So Muxus looking at the board state. Not much he can do here. Passes it back. We see Dolly put down an Ichor Wellspring, getting to draw a card. Convoking, getting a Saproling in play, and passing turn. Didn't really have to convoke right then. Sprout Swarm is an instant, so probably just on a 1-track mind there, making sure he gets that Sprout into play. Maybe he wanted to make sure that he could cast it while Muxus was tapped out, because it would not buy back to his hand if it was countered. We see Muxus put down a Preordain, send both to the bottom. Not liking anything he was seeing on top here. Playing a snow-covered duel. Comes into play tapped and deploying a second Modern Age. Getting the draw and discard here. The Bojuka Bog is already in play, so Muxus probably doesn't have to worry about that much. But Exhume is not as much value here as Dolly would get back his Glimmer Baron and be able to attack for a ton. Experimental Synthesizer, getting the Samurai. Looks like a Pyroblast on top. So he can get rid of, yep, either of those Modern Ages. Just blow it up. Pyroblast destroying a blue permanent. Having another bounce land is going to return that Bojuka Bog to his hand. So now Muxus is in a pretty tough spot here. Taking a bunch of damage from these 1/1s. I think he traded one of them. One of the Augur Bolas was able to block, but still taking 5 damage. Muxus having about 6 mana here. Decides to fire off the fish while he still has access to his graveyard. Decides to attack with the Augur of Bolas while he has the chance. Just taking 1. Yes, I was going to say, I think Muxus forgot to exile his grave for that Gurmag Angler play. Dolly has access to 6 mana here. Still has the Spider Silk Armor and 1 Ichor Wellspring in play. Has the Chainer's Edict. Not super useful here right now. What is that? Must have been a Lightning Bolt? I'm not entirely certain. Looks like the Chainer's Edict tried to go off, counterspell, to keep the fish in play. That must have just been another Pyroblast, I'm not certain. Got rid of the Augur of Bolas. Trying to fire off that Chainer's Edict, but counterspell will protect it. Protect the Gurmag, that is. Get the Vector Glider back in play here off of the 3rd lore counter. Maybe there's a little bit of questioning on the trigger. Not sure, but it looks like it is transformed at this point. 5 damage coming across the board here while all of the tokens are tapped out. Dolly down to only 4 creatures, 2 goblins and 2 sapperlings. He does have access to the Sprout Swarm still. We're seeing another Experimental Synthesizer being sacrificed. I don't know where all of his Samurai are. I feel like he's activated this quite a few times. And maybe he just is forgetting to get his Samurais. Because he doesn't have any other sacrifice outlet here. So he has to be activating this Experimental Synthesizer for its sacrifice ability. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain. There he is. Seeing a Preordain from Muxus. And a Sapperling buyback. Muxus decides to cycle the River Winder, trying to find the counterspell. Does not find it, so the Sapperling is brought back. We're seeing a Kadoltha Rebirth of another Ichor Wellspring, generating a ton more advantage. 3 more Goblins, draw an extra card for 1 mana. Pretty good. And the Rites of Initiation. And I think that is the end of it. Yes, it is. Sorry about that. So that is going to do it for that round. That overwhelming presence of those tokens was just way too much for Muxus to deal with, and the Rites of Initiation, giving them all +4/+0, really brings their life total down quickly. Thanks for joining us for this video. I hope you liked it. We have over 100 videos on the channel now, so go ahead and check out some of our backlog. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date on all of our newest matches. Big thank you to Spellhold Games for allowing us to record in their space. And we're very excited for our next video, which is going to be a mono red Stompy list versus our resident 4-color Strifopile Dack Faden list. We'll see you then.